Hey there, so today we have another review, and this is a beer courtesy of James, so thank you so much. You reached out and sent actually a bunch of Other Half cans, so I'm really excited to review them. And this is Other Half's Hop Showers. This is their IPA, 7.4%. It's actually really interesting to think about this right now because recently Other Half had their 3rd-year anniversary, and it's crazy how much the New York scene has completely exploded. Craft beer scene has changed so much in 3 years, and very much part of that was Other Half opening 3 years ago. So we have their Hop Showers IPA, and I believe this was their first can. So it's really crazy to dig back into this beer. He says the recipe has possibly changed. I assume has changed somewhat in 3 years, or at least the ingredients have. And so yeah, really excited to dig back into this. You know, if the recipe hasn't changed or has changed, whatever it is, it's really cool to dig back into these beers and think about what the original Other Half beers were like and what I think of them now. I think a little back ago I did Green Diamonds and All Green Everything, revisiting those beers. So let's dig into this one. For sure, it looks a little bit different. I remember this beer being coming in a lot more deeper of a color. Came in, I believe, more of that kind of amber to medium amber kind of color. This one's pretty light. Comes in a deep gold color. Nice carbonation rising out of glass. I don't know. I don't think my glass is dirty. There's like actual floaties in here, I think. I'm trying to look into there. Anyway, just beautiful carbonation rising out of the glass. But yeah, let's get the aroma on this one. Very nice. Yeah, smells very citrusy. You get some floral elements, some nice grapefruit. There's a little bit of like bready malts in there as well. Some pine, a little bit of like light resin quality. It smells a little bit of that kind of like signature dankness on the back end. Cheers. It's quite nice. Yeah, for sure I feel the recipe has changed. Interesting thing. I want to say one of the bars I go to usually serves this beer, and again, I remember it being this like, maybe I'm crazy. Remember it having this little bit more of this kind of like light to medium amber kind of color. This one's actually really bright, and the malt quality sort of tastes different because of that. It pops up very nice and juicy. You get a big grapefruity kind of character, nice and citrusy. There's a little bit of like light, kind of like chewy bready malt in the middle. On the back end, there is this kind of tongue scraping, drying, kind of piney quality. But yeah, and then up front, yeah, there for sure is this kind of like big floral essence as well. Big floral notes. It turns on the palate a little bit. It becomes a little bit like grassy even. Yeah, like green and chlorophyll-y. And you're sort of scraping your tongue and your teeth from that kind of green quality. It's sort of just sitting there like drinking grass juice. There is a pop of bitterness on this one as well. It has a medium plus to full-on bitterness. This sort of reminds me of what you could sort of do with an East Coast interpretation of a West Coast IPA. It has a smack of bitterness to it, but the malts are very light. It dries a lot on grassy, grapefruit, familiar traditional West Coast American IPA kind of notes, and it has a smack of bitterness too. But for sure, I really like it because it is, in general, still pretty clean. It rides on a good amount of bitterness, but it doesn't really have too much malt in the way of it. There's a little bit of like chewiness in the middle, just something to hold the beer up, but really driven on bitterness and hops. Very nice, yeah. As for rating, I'm very much enjoying this. Thank you so much for introducing me back to this awesome beer that has definitely changed, yeah. Thanks, James. Let's go with something like a... As you wait more and it slightly warms up, it pushes a little bit more on the juiciness, but in general, it still rides on grassiness, bitterness, pine, sort of sitting on the palate, which is still very enjoyable. I think this would be very nice to introduce people into if they like your traditional West Coast style IPA. I also think it would maybe work with some foods because it has that kind of bitterness to hold it up. Or maybe it's too offensively bitter or too aggressively bitter to really work with foods that well. As for rating, let's go with something like a 92. Yeah. 92, fantastic stuff. Wow. Hop Showers from Other Half. Great stuff. Check it out. Until next time, guys. Cheers. Later.